how does she have a opportunity to, on the one hand, do what needs to get done and also straddle that?
Well, I think this is where the fourth estate comes in. This is our job, right, as journalists tomorrow, to actually push on the policy questions. Because what I do feel is that people are pushing for a higher standard of policy detail than they've actually pushed Donald Trump for.
I'm disgusted. I'm disgusted. I'm ashamed of those moderators at ABC News. They did exactly what their bosses wanted them to do. The person who runs ABC News is a close personal friend of Kamala Harris, that is responsible for Kamala Harris and her husband meeting. And they did Dana Walden's bidding tonight. It was 3 against 1 on that debate stage this evening. Hi, everyone. I'm Megyn Kelly, a special program tonight for you reacting to the debate. It was 3 against 1. It's very easy to look like you know what you're doing when both moderators are entirely on your side. Trump did the best he could under the circumstances, but it really was like 3 fighters in the ring pummeling one opponent. And Trump tried to take them all on. He did fine. He did as best as he could. He was thrown a few times to the point where he was unnecessarily defensive and he was getting angry. And so was I. Were you?
Welcome to the Inconvenient Truths about modern journalism. Now, I want to highlight, you saw from the intro, Megyn Kelly slammed the moderators, exposed the bias, exposed the personal relationship with, I guess, their bosses of ABC News. You got, what's his name, George Stephanopoulos, who used to be a former, I believe, media advisor for Bill Clinton. And it's just ridiculous about the state of journalism nowadays. And I kind of want to use this video to kind of hamper on this point of why I want to highlight some inconvenient facts for the mainstream media. This has been something known since 2018, at least from when I realized this. Media bias, pretty much all of journalism now leads left, studies show. Despite journalists' denial, it is now pretty much a fact that journalism is one of the most left-wing profession of all. Now, I could just end it off right there, but there's more. Since the media debate is coming on, the media is trying to spin this as, oh my God, Trump fumbled the bag, he did this. Megyn Kelly kind of encapsulated exactly how I felt. It seemed like I have to do a lot more digging for Kamala Harris, and it seemed like it was a lot easier for the moderators to hold Donald Trump to account than Kamala Harris. ABC host David Muir show was 100% positive for Harris and 93% negative for Trump, reports show, right? And they always talk about unconscious bias, but they never look at their own unconscious bias. And I think I agree with Megyn Kelly's assessment there that the way that journalism is right now, I believe no responsible voter should just take what the media is framing at face value. I think what this has shown to me in our state of politics today is that everyone must do their own research. You cannot be like, oh, CNN said no. That's not going to be, to me, that shouldn't be an acceptable thing. ABC News moderators blasted for extreme bias, fact-checking Trump but not Harris. And anyone who's like not partisan can see that. After the debate, CNN poll shows after debate, even more voters trust Trump on the economy than Harris because Muir, sorry, I call him Manure, Muir didn't do his job and fact-checking Harris, right? They went through the transcript 4 times. Donald Trump was fact-checked. Harris wasn't fact-checked at all. Muir pressed Trump 6 times for a follow-up. 0 follow-ups for Kamala Harris. This is the inconvenient truth of modern journalism. The inconvenient truth about modern journalism is it is partisan. Journalism is partisan. Journalism has hurt its credibility. Check out this clip from Ben Shapiro kind of highlighting my exact sentiments and also Daily Wire's on-the-ground reporter and what he had to say about how the media were reacting to Donald Trump during the debate. Let's take a look.
She was fairly obnoxious. She lied a lot. She said a lot of things that were untrue. She was never called on any of that. The big takeaway is going to be the continued destruction of the legacy media on behalf of the Democratic Party. The legacy media have decided full scale. They are now apparatchiks of the Democratic Party. They are so far up Kamala Harris's ass that they're doing active colonoscopies with their eyeballs. It's unbelievable watching David Muir ask questions to Donald Trump like, why are you so bad and orange and mean? And then turning to Kamala Harris and saying, and why is he so bad and orange and mean? It's absolutely insipid and totally insane. The media tonight were beyond the worst expectations that I had for them. I thought that they were going to do like a baseline creditable job because CNN did. Jake Tapper and Dana Bash, they actually did that in the last debate. They actually asked questions and let people answer them. David Muir became an active participant in this debate. Lindsey Davis became an active participant in the debate. And then they never once fact-checked Kamala Harris, who lied over and over and over. She lied. She said, for example, that Donald Trump was a backer of Project 2025. A lie. She said that Donald Trump said there were very fine people on both sides of the Charlottesville riots, including the neo-Nazis. That is a lie. It's been debunked repeatedly. They did not say that that was a lie. She said that he had said that he was going to unleash a bloodbath on the country if he lost. That's a full-scale lie. They never fact-checked a single thing that she did the entire night. And actually, that helps Trump.
It's worth noting also, the moderators are getting a lot of discussion about the bias there. Sitting here in the room, I was with 1,000 reporters watching this debate. You could also feel the bias in the room. There were multiple moments throughout the evening where Trump begins to speak, and there was loud, uproarious laughter from large groups of members of the press. They were not even trying to hide the fact that they were having fun. They were mocking Trump pretty openly. Worth pointing out that the moderators are not the only biased folks in the media. Now, the Trump campaign, they're not trying to spin this as a win. Guys, I talked to a number of them. I heard from a number of surrogates. I talked to Tom Cotton, Tim Scott, the campaign communications director, Brian Hughes. All of their talk was not necessarily on Donald Trump's performance. It was on the performance of the moderators. All of them used the language, this was a 3-on-1 debate. They're saying, however, that the American people can see through the fact that the media wants Kamala Harris elected, and that the substance of the debate, whatever the performance of Trump or Kamala was, will actually be secondary to the poor performance from the moderators more broadly.
So you see now, you heard that. Here's how the legacy media is spinning the debate. And this is the state of journalism today. It's all about narratives now, right? Like, what narratives can you concoct? How believable can you make your perception onto the masses, right? Like, we're gonna see now. Look, close it down. Trump tells Republicans to shut down the government unless they get assurance of his debunked voter fraud claims. This is what they're making the focus about. Harris laughs as Trump calls her a Marxist who's copying her policies. I would say she's gonna send her a mega hat. They don't talk about anything substantive. Look at this. This is like, she could not deny the claims. She didn't say she wasn't a Marxist, right? She didn't answer the question, but look how the left is framing the news, right? Kamala Harris roasts Trump's rally, says fans leave out of boredom. He will talk about windmills causing cancer, right? Like, no flash, no substance, right? And going back to the crowd stuff, Kamala Harris, the same could be said about you. You need entertainers to bring crowds of people to your campaign rallies. And once Megan Thee Stallion leaves, once these rock stars or entertainers leave, people are doing the same thing to do. They leave out of boredom too. There's videos documenting this stuff, but this is what the left-wing media goes with. There's no fact-checking here. Journalism is partisan now. A bunch of lies, grievances, and name-calling. Harris comes out swinging at Trump's rhetoric, but that's what she was doing. Like, Trump didn't say anything pretty much to her for the most part. He criticized her for what she's not doing. He criticized her for what she could do, but it's not doing. He's criticizing her on her actions. She just wanted to look like she was an actor. Trump declares we have a president who doesn't know he's alive. Joke. He promises to end Ukraine war before he's actually in office. You were the president. Muir pushes back on Trump's attacking Harris over the protests that happened during his term. But he left it up to the states. The protests were being out of control in Minnesota, which is who? Who's the governor of Minnesota during the BLM riots? Oh, wait, yes, Tim Walz. Look at the framing they're doing. Sugarcoating stuff, hiding stuff. She challenged Donald Trump to a second debate, which shows to me that she knows she didn't really win the debate, especially that I show you the CNN poll that showed that more voters trust Trump even more on the economy after the debate than before the debate. Tim Adams tells Trump supporters and Republicans after the debate, when you're complaining about the refs, you know you're in trouble. When you deflect about the refs, you know you're in trouble. When your candidate couldn't answer a single damn question, you know you're in trouble. That's why you need the second debate. But here they are framing it, pretending that, oh yeah, Donald Harris won this hands down. Let's take a look at this clip.
I think the big mistake that Kamala Harris made is she didn't address head on the biggest issue in the race, which is the economy, the cost of living. She had nothing to say on immigration. She had no answer when she was asked about defunding the police. She had nothing to say about the families that were lost in Afghanistan. So I think those are opportunities lost. I do think that the President Trump anyway, closed very well when he said, look, you work in the White House every day and you talk about the things that you want to do. Why don't you do the things now that you work in the White House? And so I thought that was a strong ending. But
what left-wing media has got you focused on, right? On appearances. Taylor Swift endorses her warrior, Kamala Harris. Right? Painting it as a disaster, right? Watch Trump and Kamala Harris greet each other at 9/11 Memorial morning after a fierce debate. Photo ops. Now they're looking at, like, come on, guys. Like, the media, the left-wing media, which is majority of journalists think like Mediaite here. This is exactly how they're going to frame it. Right? Only 3% of journalists are Republicans. The inconvenient truth about journalism, guys. It's partisan. And if you're independent like I am, you can't trust them at their face value. You can't trust them at their face. And it seemed like the moderators are causing more problems than they're actually supposedly supposed to be there. They're supposed to be there to kind of keep the stuff guided, following time. But the moderators in this debate, they interjected a lot. And it highlighted bias, especially the guy who fact-checked Trump the most was this guy, who had out of the two moderators, he had the most clearest bias. And instead of the news being about substantive stuff, right? The media trying to make it seem like, oh yeah, Trump got crushed. Trump got destroyed. Oh, he reported. Look at what they make you focus on. And look what I made you focus on. I made you focus on she didn't answer none of the questions that she was asked. Trump challenged her on some things and she dodged the question. Is that what you're going to reward politicians, America? Isn't it the journalist's job to dig deeper and press on the issues that Americans care about? But many Americans left that debate not knowing anything differently than when they came into the debate, right? And this is something I got to ask the journalists. And this is a quote from Thomas Sowell. Journalists cannot serve two masters. To the extent that they take on the task of supporting information or biting their tongue for the sake of some political agenda, they're betraying the trust of the public and corrupting their own profession. I'll ask you this again, America. The inconvenient truth about modern journalism is that it is a corrupt profession. It is a biased profession. I gave you the stats. I gave you the proof already. 97% of journalists are Democrats. Since 2018, journalism has been known as the most left-leaning profession of all. America has not benefited from these debates. These debates, the way that the ABC moderators operated, made it seem like, hey, we want to make this as competitive as possible for our candidate to appeal, to frame her in a positive light and to frame Donald Trump in a negative light. And everything she did was acting. Kamala was just acting. When Trump misspoke about her defunding the police, he said that, oh, she was against defunding the police. She still shook her head no. So do you agree with Donald Trump when you said that, when he misspoke and he said that you were against defunding the police? And she shook her head no because she was acting. No matter what Trump said, make it seem like you said no. Don't answer his questions. Don't no back and forth. Just say the lines. Spend a week memorizing lines. I'm not going to reward that. I'm just telling you my sentiment. And I think many people are highlighting this fact. And I think many people are starting to understand that they cannot trust the media. Let's check out this clip from Dr. Phil highlighting some of the sentiment of people who are more in the center than I am. Let's take a look.
This debate, which was really hyped as being a big thing, did this under-deliver or did it deliver? Did this actually mean something to you? In the back, stand up.
Hi, my name is Shelley. I'm also standing, so. I think, I came into this with an open mind. I really, really wanted Vice President Harris to hit it out of the park. I don't think she did. I think she did better than some people expected her to. The cackle was not there. I kept waiting for it, and it didn't come. But I still didn't get answers. I didn't get answers to fundamental questions that we need to know as voters. And we just keep getting circled around that.
Like what? What did you not get an answer to?
Her economic plans. What is an opportunity economy? What does that mean? Who's paying for the tax cuts that she's...
And the journalist's job is to what, guys? Press, get follow-ups, get specifics, dig deep in. They didn't do nothing. They didn't do nothing. But they did that to Trump 6 times. Oh, but if you're complaining about the refs, you're losing. AKA, you calling out the BS. You calling out the garbage. You calling out the bad job these moderators did. And the left will try to frame it as, oh, yeah, you must be losing. Framing and perception. All y'all got is narratives. This is the problem with the liberals. You're not reflective. Look at you. Your profession dominated by people of your political side. And you're not creating any process to check your own bias, to make sure that you're actually calling the stuff fairly and objectively. You can't do that. This is why modern journalism is corrupt. You guys cannot hold yourselves accountable. Now it's up to people like me on the internet to hold you accountable. Trust the internet more than you trust the TV, because when you go on the internet, you get exposed to stuff like this. When you go on the internet, people show you the transcriptions that say, look at this. The internet is doing a better job of journalism than the people who are supposedly supposed to be journalists. Sorry. Let's continue with the video.
Proposing, because in my opinion, giving people down payment assistance on houses just drives inflation up higher. Who's paying for all of these child tax credits? That's just the taxpayers coming out of pocket and hurting the middle class again. So I don't think that we got to the meat and potatoes of the things that really matter. And we know from Donald Trump's presidency before, he can fix the economy. So I was really looking for her to make an impact on my thought process tonight, and she didn't deliver that.
That's why she needs the second debate. Because at the end of the day, what you're going to come to understand, and many people are coming to understand, is everyone knows what they're getting with Donald Trump. No one knows what they're getting with Kamala Harris. So that means the debate was more about not Kamala looking good, but actually articulating what the hell she stands for. Because end of the day, Trump don't
substantially and create a
Trump don't need to actually. He can get away with not being so clear, because end of the day he can just go, hey, even though I didn't have the specifics down to the nitty gritty, my vision, I know who will help me execute on my vision. And all you gotta do is look at my past administration. This is why people trusted Donald Trump more on the economy than they did Harris. This is why, because it's already built in. Trump is a known product. Kamala Harris, after the debate, still remained an unknown product. And this is the biggest problem with the mainstream media. This is the biggest problem with modern journalism. This partisan journalism that we got going on right now, this corrupt journalism that we got going on right now, 97% of them Democrats, they don't want to call out the fact that, hey, you're vague. The American voters want clarification. They don't want Kamala Harris to be clarified. They don't want Donald Trump to define her. Because Donald Trump, many attempts, try to define Kamala Harris, and every attempt he tried to do that, the moderators came in and interrupted the flow of the conversation.
Everybody knows I'm an open book. Everybody knows what I'm going to do. Cut taxes very substantially and create a great economy like I did before. We had the greatest economy. We got hit with a pandemic, and the pandemic was not since 1917, where 100 million people died, has there been anything like it. We did a phenomenal job with the pandemic. We handed them over a country where the economy and where the stock market was higher than it was before the pandemic.
The missed opportunity here for Donald Trump was to mention inflation. I've handed over an economy where they averaged 1.4% inflation. What happened after that? You had the highest inflation in 40 years. He did mention the highest inflation in 40 years, but it got lost between the interruption by the moderator. And that's what annoyed me about this debate. And this is modern journalism. Partisan. I digress.
Came in. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. We made ventilators for the entire world. We got gowns, we got masks, we did things that nobody thought possible. And people give me credit for rebuilding the military. They give me credit for a lot of things, but not enough credit for the great job we did with the pandemic. But the only jobs they got were bounce back jobs. These were jobs bounce back, and it bounced back and it went to their benefit. But I was the one that created them. They know it, and so does everybody else.
And that's why he won the debate on the economy. Flat out, simple. But journalists, y'all got some reflecting to do. American voters, they know they're not. I don't think the American voters are falling for this, guys. I know. I think I'm ranting for a while now, but give me some slack, guys. I'm still very annoyed. I don't know. I want to say I'm emotional, but I'm annoyed as hell right now. Right. So here's something that some Pennsylvania voters were saying, that many people felt like she was repeating the same sentiment that Biden was speaking about in 2020.
He spoke facts. She just basically repeated everything that Biden has said in the past.
What were your thoughts? Donald Trump made a strong closing statement by saying, why didn't they do all the things that she's proposing during the 3.5 years that they've been in office? And Biden did this entire moderate stance back in 2020, and she's trying to do it again in 2024, but she didn't talk about her policy changes between 2020 and 2024. Her whole centrist moderate stance is just a facade.
And but whose job was it to get the meat and potatoes into all that stuff? Whose job was it to get clarity on what Kamala Harris actually stands for in 2024? The moderators, the media, the supposed journalists. But I point out their bias. If you're a Democratic hack, you're a profession that's 97% Democrat, why would you expect a 97% institution or profession to highlight negative, unflattering things about a Democrat candidate? You see where I'm going with this? This is the inconvenient truths about modern journalism. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. You agree with me? Disagree with me? I'll let you hear it all in the comment section, because all I felt like was it was a show. It was political theater. And the moderator's job was to make sure the theater did not get disrupted. That's the sentiment I got from the ABC debate. But I already did my thoughts about the aftermath of the Prost debate. So if you want to listen to that, you can go right ahead. But I digress. I'd like to hear your thoughts in the comment section. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.